Hi, my name is Khalil Prince, and this is my speech. Digestion is one of our basic body functions, yet how we obtain the knowledge of it was so unique and so different. In 1822, a man by the name of Alex Martin, a soldier, was at his post and was shot at point-blank range through his upper chest and stomach. Now, most doctors at this time would have watched him die because there wasn't much they could do for him. Medicine and medical research was so primitive, with no internal surgeries being performed. Many doctors had no medical training at all, and the training that they did have was by watching other older doctors and doing as they do. So in this way, medicine and medical research was not moving forward. It was just staying the same, nothing different. Circumstances did not look good for Mr. Martin. However, there was one army doctor by the name of Dr. Beaumont who came to the assistance of the young soldier. He did everything he could for Alex, and he even took him into his home to be treated. Alex Martin did recover, but he ended up having a hole remain in his chest of his upper stomach. Now you ask yourself, it's like, how is that possible? Well, it wasn't a whole hole. It was actually a piece of skin. He had a piece of skin that was able to cover it a little bit so it would leak, but still you needed pressure to hold the little piece of skin, so he'd have a bandage that would hold it there so it wouldn't leak. Because of this, though, he still wasn't able to do hard labor, building houses, being around horses and all that, things that were more common in that time. So Dr. Beaumont had this idea of experimenting on Alex and see how the digestive system worked. At the time, the digestive system was a complete mystery. Nobody understood how it worked. They believed that the stomach either burned or grounded up food into powder. So Alex agreed to Dr. Beaumont's to be experimented on. The experiments did not hurt, but they were very boring for Alex. It consisted of him laying down and having the doctor place food into his stomach with a long piece of silk string, and at the end would be a little piece of food. And after an hour, he would withdraw the piece of food, and then he would observe it, and then record what he saw. Some of his experimentations that he did was with seasoned beef, raw pork, raw beef, boiled beef, stale bread, and raw cabbage. Each one he would try to weigh the exact same amount so it would give a better portion of what he was trying to figure out. He then dropped these in like his stomach and then record them. Some things that he found out was that after an hour the cabbage and bread were always half digested, but a lot of the meats were unchanged and therefore returned back to the stomach. After another hour, so after 2 hours, cabbage and bread and pork and boiled beef were all cleanly digested and gone from the string. But all the other meats were still left and uninfected. Then after another hour he found that the seasoned beef was partly digested and the raw beef was only slightly digested. At this time, usually, the smell from the acids in his stomach would start to give off a scent, a very strong scent that was not very nice to the nose. And Alex can usually complain of small pains and uneasiness in his chest, which you can imagine because he's having foods dropped into it. One of the times, Alex complained of a considerable distress along with some understandable upset stomach and the pain in his head. And at this time, by the 4th hour, the acids were getting so strong that the smell was too much to bear and usually would stop for the day. These kind of experimentations took place over the next few months, day after day after day. So you can imagine that Alex became very tired of it and decides to leave Dr. Beaumont. And after a few years, he comes back financially broke with a wife and child. Now Dr. Beaumont wanted to continue with the experimentations and decides to pay Alex a sum of $300 a year. Alex, of course, financially broke, decides that that's the best option and continues with the experimentation day after day. This went on for the next 10 years. And all that knowledge that was gained from Alex made Dr. Beaumont famous. His thorough knowledge of the digestive system and his subsequent books was considered to be the first piece of good Yankee science. And the knowledge that Dr. Beaumont passed on to the medical community is still used even to this day. Something that Dr. Beaumont learned was that through the digestive system actually disintegrated foods through toxic gases, and also found that foods remaining in the stomach had direct effect on health. Totally new idea to that time period, and you could see why that would make him famous. But after the 10 years, Alex again decides to leave, this time not to return. Dr. Beaumont dies at the age of 59. And oddly enough, Alex outlived him by 27 years and died at the age of 86. A hole in his stomach the whole time. A funny odd side to this story, a little fun fact if you will, is that when Alex died, his family was so concerned that people would steal his body because his body was so famous at the time. I mean, who wouldn't know about the person who has a hole in his stomach? There's some doctors putting food into it. So they were so scared that they hired guards to protect his body, stand over his grave so that nobody would steal it. This information was found by the source book of medical history in New York by the Dover Publications, and the publisher is Clendine L.